picture this. You're standing in your laundry room.
Oh, no, I know where this is going.
Yeah, there is water just rapidly pooling around your ankles.
Mhm.
The washing machine is making this awful sound like a dying lawnmower, and you are in full, unfiltered panic mode.
Right, because
Yeah,
nobody has the money for an emergency plumber.
exactly.
Mm.
And the manual is entirely useless, of course. So you grab your phone and find the one highly specific tutorial video that addresses this exact model and this exact issue.
A lifesaver.
Usually, yes. But there's a catch here. The person who recorded the video is speaking a language you barely understand.
Wow, I mean, that is basically the ultimate modern survival scenario.
It really is.
The water is rising, the clock is ticking, and the barrier between you and a dry floor isn't, a wrench, it's syntax.
Right. And that rising panic in your chest, that's not just about the water. That is the exact neurological panic of cognitive overload.
Yeah, your brain just hitting a wall.
Which actually brings us to the mission for today's deep dive. We're looking at this really fascinating stack of transcripts from a highly successful language learning channel. But here is the thing. We aren't just here to talk about learning English or mastering Spanish.
No, far from it. We're actually looking at these transcripts to reverse engineer the mechanics of skill acquisition itself.
The big picture.
Right. We're breaking down the exact psychology, the physical training, and the daily habit structures required to master literally any complex new skill.
Whether that's like coding or leading an international team or picking up the guitar.
Exactly. Doing all of that without hitting that wall of absolute frustration where most people just quit.
Because the frustration is the friction point, right?
Yeah.
It's a moment we drop the wrench and just let the room flood.
Yeah, we just give up.
So today, we're going entirely under the hood. We're going to look at why a tiny three-letter word acts as a neurological switch for problem solving.
Such a cool concept, that one.
It really is. And we'll talk about how working memory actually paralyzes you when you try to translate information, and why treating a mental skill like a physical gym workout is basically the only way to bypass your brain's natural resistance to learning.
And, of course, we'll circle back to why fixing that broken washing machine is actually the ultimate proof that you haven't just learned a skill.
Right.
You fundamentally rewired how your brain operates under pressure.
So let's get right into the psychological roadblocks. Because before you can execute a new skill, you have to deal with the friction in your own head.
You absolutely do.
Most of us are pretty familiar with the concepts of a stuck mindset versus a growing mindset, right? The idea that saying, I am bad at this is a fixed state.
Yeah, dead end.
Right, whereas saying, I am learning this implies motion. But what I found fascinating in these materials is the actual mechanical explanation of why the stuck mindset is so devastating to the adult brain.
Well, it all comes down to how our brains process finality.
What do you mean by that?
So when you hit a wall and tell yourself, I don't understand this, your brain takes that statement literally. It registers a closed loop.
Oh, like case closed, nothing more to do here.
Exactly. The amygdala perceives the frustration as a threat. Your cortisol spikes, and your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain responsible for complex problem solving, essentially just powers down.
Wait, really?
It just shuts off.
Pretty much. It stops spending metabolic energy looking for solutions because you just told it the case is closed.
That is wild. Which I guess brings us to the mechanical override, the magic word.
Yes, just 3 letters. Yet.
Yet. Changing I don't understand. I don't understand yet. I mean, on the surface, it sounds like a cheap motivational poster.
Oh, totally. Like something you'd see in a corporate break room.
Right. But neurologically, it functions as a completely different command prompt.
Exactly. Adding yet turns a permanent failure state into a temporary condition.
Okay, that makes sense.
It signals to your prefrontal cortex that the file is still open. Your brain is a highly efficient prediction machine, right?
Sure.
So when you append yet to a failure, it immediately begins calculating the variables required to turn that temporary state into a completed state.
It keeps looking for the answer.
Yes, it keeps the cognitive pathways open and actively scanning the environment for the missing data.
There is a brilliant illustration in the materials about how we instinctively understand this when we look at toddlers.
Oh, the baby walking example. I love this.
Yeah, let's call her Baby Mia. So Baby Mia is learning to walk. She pulls herself up on the coffee table, takes this wobbly step, and immediately face plants right onto the carpet.
And critically, nobody in the room looks at her and says, wow, you are incredibly bad at walking.
Right. No one says, this clearly isn't your thing. You should probably just stick to crawling.
Exactly. We applaud, we encourage it.
But more importantly, from baby Mia's perspective, she isn't registering failure at all. Her brain is purely gathering telemetry data.
Telemetry data, that is the perfect way to phrase it.
Yeah, it's just raw input. It's pure data collection. Her brain is calculating. Okay, leaning 14 degrees to the left with insufficient velocity results in a loss of balance.
So she adjusts for next time.
Right. Let's adjust the center of gravity and torque for attempt number 2. Every single fall is just a necessary influx of mechanical information.
But as adults, we completely lose that telemetry framework, don't we?
We really do.
We experience the friction of a new skill, we stumble, and instead of viewing it as a data point like, oh, that line of code broke the app, or I conjugated that verb completely wrong, we view it as a personal character flaw.
We internalize the friction, and that's exactly where the traditional advice of just taking it one step at a time often completely misses the mark.
How so?
Well, people think the problem with a massive goal like learning a language or, say, building a giant brick wall is just that it's too big.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
But it's actually about the cognitive load of visualizing the entire unbuilt wall. It literally paralyzes your working memory.
Okay, so staring at the peak of the mountain from base camp just makes you want to go back to your tent.
Exactly. The key isn't just to break the wall down into smaller pieces. It's to entirely forget the wall exists.
Just look down at your boots.
Right. Your singular objective is to lay one single brick today with perfect telemetry data.
Okay, so we've established the foundation here. You have your boots on, you're looking at the single brick in front of you, and you're treating mistakes as data, not destiny.
Love that. Data, not destiny.
But once you move past the mindset, you hit a massive mechanical barrier. Let's talk about what happens when working memory gets completely overwhelmed.
Oh, this is huge.
Because in skill acquisition, and particularly with language, the biggest trap is translation.
Yeah, the translation trap is a perfect example of system overload.
Walk us through that.
Let's look at the mechanics of a real-time conversation. If you are translating in your head, you are running this highly inefficient 3-step cognitive sequence.
Okay, what's step 1?
Step 1, you hear the target language. Step 2, you have to hold that audio in your working memory while you search your mental database to translate it into your native language.
Sounds exhausting already.
It is. And then step 3, you formulate a response in your native language, translate that back into the target language, and finally send the signal to your mouth to speak.
And while your brain's CPU is completely maxed out, running that heavy background process, the person you're talking to is just staring at you.
Awkward silence.
Yeah, and the moment has completely passed, you just freeze, literally the equivalent of the spinning wheel of death on an old computer.
Precisely. Working memory, our cognitive RAM basically has a very strict limit. It can only hold about 4 to 7 pieces of new information at a time.
That's not much.
Not at all. So when you force it to juggle 2 different linguistic frameworks simultaneously, it just crashes.
So how do you fix it?
To fix this, you have to bypass your native language entirely. You have to build what they call a direct connection.
So practically speaking, how do you actually bypass a reflex? I mean, if somebody throws a set of keys at me, my brain involuntarily thinks the word keys in English. How do I intercept that?
Well, you start by hijacking your visual processing center. The method detailed in the transcripts involves direct environmental labeling.
Like putting sticky notes on everything.
Sort of, but mental. You don't look at a physical pen, think your native word for it, and then find the translation.
Okay.
You hold the physical object, look at the ink, feel the plastic, and directly associate those sensory inputs with the new target word. You become your own physical labeling machine.
Ah, so you're connecting the object's reality directly to the new sound. No middleman.
Yes. Picture flashcards do the exact same thing. You aren't associating the letters S-U-N with your native word. You are linking a bright, blanding yellow image directly to the target sound.
Oh, that makes sense.
This is also why watching children's cartoons is highly effective for beginners.
Really? Cartoons?
Yeah, because cartoons are engineered to perfectly synchronize simple, exaggerated physical actions with isolated audio cues.
Oh, I see. A character throws a ball and yells the target word at the same time.
Exactly. The visual cortex and the auditory cortex link the action and the sound instantly, totally bypassing that translation matrix.
I understand the mechanism there, but let me push back on this a bit on behalf of the listener.
Sure, go for it.
Because I think a lot of people hitting this stage feel a massive disconnect. Let's say I'm in a really high-stakes scenario, like a business dinner.
High pressure.
Yeah, and I need to respond to a complex point.
Right.
but my direct connection just fails. I simply do not have the vocabulary word in my cognitive database.
Right.
Isn't it faster and safer to just let my brain translate around the missing words so I don't sit there staring blankly at my client?
That's a very real scenario, and honestly, it highlights why isolated vocabulary memorization is so fragile under pressure.
It just breaks down.
It does. If you are building sentences word by word like Legos, and you're missing a single piece, the whole structure collapses.
What's the workaround?
The workaround for this, the way you buy your working memory time to catch up, is by utilizing chunks.
Chunks, like prefabricated cognitive blocks.
Exactly like prefab housing. Instead of trying to render a sentence from scratch, you load prepackaged, fully constructed phrases into your memory.
Like what?
Phrases like, "That's a very good point. Let me think about that." Or, "I see what you mean, but consider this."
Ah, I see. So you don't have to search for the verb, conjugate it, find the preposition, and ensure the syntax is right.
Yeah. Nope.
You just drag and drop the entire zipped folder into the conversation.
Yes. It acts as an executable file. You drag the chunk in, it makes you sound incredibly natural and fluent, and most importantly, it buys your brain 3 or 4 seconds of crucial processing time to figure out the rest of the sentence.
Without freezing.
Exactly, without freezing.
That makes total sense for the cognitive side. You're freeing up RAM, but there is a totally different type of freeze that happens, and it's entirely physical.
The physical freeze, yes.
Yeah, you can have the right mindset, you can be using direct connections, you can have your chunks loaded and ready, and your mouth still completely betrays you.
That happens because your brain and your mouth operate on completely different neurological hardware.
I love how the materials frame this. They point out that knowing the vocabulary but being unable to physically speak it smoothly is exactly like reading an intricate, detailed manual on how to drive a manual transmission car.
Oh, that's such a good analogy.
But you've never actually sat behind the wheel. Your brain knows exactly what a clutch does, but your left foot has absolutely zero idea how to slowly release it.
It is a brilliant distinction between declarative knowledge and procedural memory.
All right. Facts versus action.
Exactly. Language isn't just data. It is an intensely physical, athletic act.
An athletic act.
Think about it. Your jaw, your tongue, your lips, your vocal cords. They have spent decades developing precise muscle memory to form the acoustic shapes of your native language.
That's true.
So when you switch to a new language, you are asking those muscles to perform microgymnastics they have never, ever attempted before.
So we are literally talking about going to the gym for your face.
You absolutely are.
You have to build the physical motor pathways before the brain's declarative knowledge is of any use.
Yes, and the training techniques for this facial gym rely heavily on the motor cortex. The first major technique they talk about is shadowing.
Which sounds a bit like espionage, honestly, but it's actually about rhythmic mimicry.
Yeah, you're basically acting as a simultaneous echo.
How does it work?
You listen to an audio track, maybe a podcast or a news clip, and you speak along with it in real time, just a fraction of a second behind the speaker.
That sounds really hard.
It is at first. You aren't just reading text aloud, you are forcing your facial muscles to mimic the exact rhythm, the cadence, the micropauses, and the intonation of a native speaker.
You're overriding your default muscle memory.
Exactly, overriding the default.
And then there is the English mode, or whatever target school you're practicing, where you simply narrate your physical life out loud.
I love this one.
Yeah, you walk into the kitchen and announce to the empty room, I am opening the refrigerator. I am taking out the milk. I am pouring the coffee.
Which is great practice.
Which, frankly, makes you sound completely unhinged if someone unexpectedly walks in.
Oh, it absolutely does. But the neurological payoff is massive.
Why is it so effective?
When you narrate your actions, you are closing a proprioceptive feedback loop.
A what?
A feedback loop between your body and your brain. You are performing a physical action, commanding your motor cortex to vocalize it, and your auditory cortex is hearing your own voice execute the command.
Wow.
This forces the brain to align sensory reality with the target language.
Okay, and if you want to push that feedback loop to the absolute limit, there is the tactic of recording your own voice on your phone and playing it back.
Ah, yes. It is the ultimate diagnostic tool. And universally uncomfortable.
Universally. It doesn't matter what language you're speaking. Nobody enjoys the sound of their own disembodied voice.
No one.
But what fascinated me here is the underlying principle they emphasize. The brain will follow the mouth.
That is so counterintuitive for most people.
Right. We usually assume it's the other way around. We think the brain has to achieve perfect fluency before the mouth is allowed to speak.
And that assumption is exactly why people stay stuck for years It's a complete illusion. Action drives neuroplasticity.
So you have to move first.
Yes. When you physically force your mouth to speak, making the clumsy sounds, stumbling through the shadowing, narrating the coffee making, your brain realizes that this isn't just passive auditory entertainment.
Right, it's not a Netflix show.
Exactly. It recognizes an active environmental demand. It essentially says, oh, we are physically executing this. We need to reinforce these neural pathways immediately.
So fluency isn't the prerequisite for speaking.
Not at all. Fluency is the byproduct of physical execution.
The physical friction creates the knowledge. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit and look at the architecture of a day.
Let's do it.
We have the mindset shift yet. We understand how to bypass working memory overload with direct connections and chunks. We're doing our facial gym workouts.
All good stuff.
But the real challenge is integrating this into an exhausting, modern daily routine without burning out and quitting by Thursday.
And the central thesis here is consistency over intensity.
Yeah.
The data strongly supports that practicing for just 5 minutes every single day is exponentially more effective than cramming for 2 hours on a Saturday afternoon.
Okay, let me challenge the mechanics of that for a second.
Go ahead.
I understand that 5 minutes is easier to stomach, sure. But does 5 minutes of practice actually build a neural pathway? Or is that just a psychological trick to maintain a habit streak?
It's actually deeply rooted in the neuroscience of memory retention, specifically something called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve.
The forgetting curve.
Yeah. Your brain is aggressively efficient. If it doesn't encounter information regularly, it prunes those neural connections to save energy.
Use it or lose it.
Exactly. A 2-hour cram session creates a massive spike in knowledge, but without daily reinforcement, the brain immediately begins deleting it.
Oh, that's depressing.
It is, but 5 minutes of daily immersion interrupts that forgetting curve. It signals to the brain that this information is essential for daily survival, forcing the neural pathways to remain active and compound over time.
Oh, so it's basically the cognitive equivalent of a piggy bank.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, you empty the random coins from your pocket into a jar every evening. On a daily basis, those 3 coins feel entirely insignificant.
You don't buy anything today.
Right, they don't change your life today. But a year later, you crack the jar open, and the geometrically compounded value buys you a new bicycle.
Exactly. But to ensure those coins actually make it into the jar every day, you have to manipulate your dopamine system.
How do you do that?
Well, there is a specific motivational rule they talk about that acts as a guardrail against burnout. Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done.
That is a very subtle but profound distinction. Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done.
It dictates how your brain encodes the entire learning experience. Imagine you're exhausted after a 10-hour workday.
Okay.
You sit down to do your 5 minutes of shadowing. 2 minutes in, the friction hits. You're tired, you're making mistakes, and you decide to just quit early.
I've been there.
We all have. But if you close the book at that exact moment, your brain links the activity to a state of being tired and sad.
Oh, because you gave up.
Yes. You feel defeated and your dopamine crashes.
Yeah.
The next day, your brain will actively resist starting the practice because it anticipates that exact negative feeling.
Ah. But if you recognize the friction and you just push through those final 3 minutes to hit your minimal baseline goal.
You cross the finish line.
Right. And when you close the book, after completing the goal, you are still physically tired, obviously.
But neurologically, you are tired and happy.
Because you did it.
Exactly. You get a localized dopamine spike from task completion. You've earned the rest. The rest becomes the reward for the work rather than an escape from the failure.
Wow. And to maximize those 5 minutes, you really have to anchor them to your physical reality, don't you?
You have to.
You can't just memorize abstract lists. The strategy is to map the skill onto your daily survival routine.
Like your daily habits.
Yeah, when you're getting dressed, you physically attach the language to the action. Wake up, turn on the light, put on my coat. You map it onto navigating a shopping mall or the food court.
Or map it onto financial survival, creating a budget.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, tracking the flow of resources like money in versus money out in your target language forces your brain to prioritize the information because it's tied to very real personal stakes.
And there's this brilliant cognitive trick in the materials regarding grammar, too. Grammar is usually taught as a really rigid set of rules you have to memorize for a test.
Ugh, the worst way to learn it.
The absolute worst. But they suggest using specific tenses, like the present perfect tense, as a mental accounting ledger for your day.
Which transforms an abstract grammar rule into a practical dopamine delivery system.
Exactly. You use it to mentally check off your routines. I've drunk my coffee.
Yeah.
I have sent the emails. I haven't eaten lunch yet.
There's that word again. Yet.
Right. You're practicing a complex grammatical structure. But more importantly, you're using it to track your own forward momentum. It closes the cognitive loop.
You're weaving the skill seamlessly into the fabric of your daily survival.
Which brings us to the ultimate payoff. All of this friction, the daily 5-minute grind, the exhausting mental chunks, standing in your kitchen talking to yourself out loud while pouring milk.
Laying that one single brick when you'd rather be doing literally anything else.
Yeah, it's a tremendous amount of cognitive labor. What is the actual tangible reward on the other side? Because it's clearly not just about passing a proficiency exam.
No, not at all. The reward is an expansion of your reality.
Expand on that.
The transcripts are filled with specific transformative case studies. It's the ability to travel completely independently, not just surviving the logistical navigation of a foreign transit system, you know?
Right, not just finding the bathroom.
Exactly. It's sitting in a hostel in a completely different hemisphere and forming deep, nuanced friendships with people whose worldview is entirely different from your own.
It's a professional leverage, too. Getting tapped to lead complex, multinational projects simply because you possess the connective tissue to align disparate teams.
Yes.
Or it's the cultural texture, like watching a masterful piece of international cinema and actually catching the subtle cultural irony of a joke that a sterile subtitle completely butchers.
And, of course, it is the literal problem-solving capacity, which
Wow.
brings us all the way back to the washing machine.
The flooded laundry room.
Yes.
Using your acquired language skills to comb through the internet, find the one specific tutorial video uploaded by a guy halfway across the world, decoding his instructions in real time, and fixing the belt on your washing machine before the water ruins the drywall.
We tend to romanticize language as poetry or diplomacy.
We do.
But in that moment, it is a literal skeleton key for survival.
That is the perfect encapsulation of the broader truth here. Mastering a complex skill, whether it's syntax, a programming language, or a musical instrument, does not just leave you with a new database of facts.
It forcefully upgrades your operating system.
Exactly. The process of befriending your own incompetence, of learning to sound foolish, of breaking the translation trap, and physically forcing your mouth to adapt, it fundamentally alters your neuroplasticity.
You become a radically more adaptable, resilient person.
Because if you can systematically dismantle the psychological and physical friction of rewiring your facial muscles to speak a new language,
Yeah.
I mean, what barrier can't you deconstruct?
Nothing's off limits.
So let's bring this all together. Mastering a skill requires a biological shift. It means leveraging the word yet to keep your prefrontal cortex online. It means protecting your working memory by building direct cognitive connections and utilizing chunks. It means treating practice as physical motor training, shadowing, and engaging the feedback loop of your own voice.
And crucially, it requires the discipline to lay just one brick a day, stopping when you're done, not when you're tired. Then I'll leave you with a final thought to mull over. We spent a lot of time analyzing baby Mia and how her brain processes a fall not as a failure, but as vital telemetry data,
Right.
simply gathering information to adjust her center of gravity for the next attempt. Think about the landscape of your life right now.
Okay.
How might applying that exact, precise framework alter your trajectory on the next massive, intimidating challenge you face?
Wow.
Whether it is a brutal project deadline, a career pivot, or even just a highly difficult conversation you've been avoiding.
Where in your life are you letting the sheer scale of the wall paralyze you? Where do you need to stop staring at the peak, look down at your boots, and deploy the magic word yet?
Because the water might be rising around your proverbial washing machine right now.
And the panic might be setting in. But the tools to fix it are well within your grasp. You just haven't used them.
Yet.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.